Here is where it gets really interesting. While the old guard is aging out, something nobody expected is happening underneath the surface. Sport bike sales have surged, up 71% in 5 years. Women riders are at an all-time high. Manufacturers from Tokyo to Milwaukee are flooding the market with affordable machines designed to attract a completely different kind of rider. So is American motorcycling dying, or is it going through the most dramatic transformation in its history? We are about to find out. To understand how we got here, you have to rewind to what American motorcycle culture actually looked like when it was young. In the 1970s and the 1980s, motorcycles were a normal part of growing up in a lot of American communities. You had dirt bikes in every suburban garage. Japanese four-cylinder bikes were taking over the streets. Harley-Davidson was clawing its way back from near bankruptcy with a buyback from AMF in 1981. And dealerships were packed with people in their 20s and early 30s. According to data from the Bureau of Transportation Statistics, the median owner age in 1985 was just 27.1 years old. Riders under 18 made up about 8% of owners. The 18 to 24 age bracket accounted for 16%. These were not middle-aged guys going through a midlife crisis. These were young people who grew up around bikes, who got their first dirt bike at 12, their motorcycle license at 16, and saw riding as just another thing you did, like playing baseball or working on cars. Through the 1990s, the baby boomers grew older and wealthier, and they brought their wallets to the dealership. The median age started climbing. By 1990, it was 32. By 2003, it was 41. The boomers were not being replaced at the bottom. They were just getting older and buying bigger, more expensive bikes. And the industry loved it, because a 45-year-old with equity in his house buys a $25,000 Road King. A 22-year-old buys a used Ninja. The motorcycle market in America peaked around 2006, when total sales hit approximately 1.1 million units, according to NYC data tracked by Revzilla and Web Bike World. That was the absolute high watermark. Harley-Davidson alone was shipping over 340,000 motorcycles a year. Dealerships were expanding. Credit was flowing. The open road was full of chrome and leather and V-twin thunder. And then 2008 happened. The financial crisis did not just hurt motorcycle sales, it cratered them. The industry saw a 40.8% collapse in a single year. Dealership floors went quiet overnight. Lines of credit vanished. And unlike the housing market or the stock market, motorcycles never bounced back. Not really. But the recession, as brutal as it was not the real problem. It was a symptom of something much deeper that had been building for decades. The riders who bought all those bikes in the 1990s and the early 2000s were getting older. And the kids who should have been replacing them simply were not showing up. The demographic data tells a brutal story. That 8% of owners under 18 in 1990 fell to just 2%. The 18 to 24 age bracket that once made up 16% of the buyer base dropped to 6%. According to the 2018 NYC survey, older generations still dominate the ownership base by a wide margin, with boomers vastly outnumbering millennial riders. The entire owner profile shifted. It went from young working-class enthusiasts to middle-aged, college-educated professionals with a median household income of $62,500. 24% hold college degrees, up from 17% in 2012. A fundamentally different consumer buying motorcycles for fundamentally different reasons. So why did young Americans stop riding? Well, a lot of them stopped driving, and that is not an exaggeration. Federal Highway Administration data published in January 2025 shows that only 25.2% of 16-year-olds now hold a driver's license. Back in 1983, that number was 46.2%. That is nearly cut in half. Even among 18-year-olds, the rate dropped from 80.4% to just 60.3%. The AAA Foundation for Traffic Safety found that only 40.8% of young adults aged 18 to 24 obtained their license at or before age 16. In large cities, only 49.8% of teens got licensed before 18, compared to nearly 2/3 in less urbanized areas. The reasons are stacking up fast. Progressive Insurance found that 40% of people aged 16 to 25 who delayed getting their license cited driving anxiety as a factor. Among those who delayed a year or more, that number jumped to 49%. Graduated driver licensing programs in all 50 states since the mid-1990s added layers of requirements: learner's permits, supervised hours, nighttime restrictions, passenger limits. As IHS research scientist Rebecca Weiss told Bankrate, those are a lot of hurdles for something that feels less necessary than it used to. Then you add economics. Minimum wage teenagers can barely afford driver's education and testing fees, let alone a vehicle. The average new car costs nearly $49,000 according to Kelley Blue Book. Even used cars are expensive after the pandemic. Insurance for young drivers is astronomical. Ride-sharing apps like Uber and Lyft made it possible to get around without owning anything. Urbanization concentrated young people in cities with public transit. And when you can hang out with your friends through a screen from your couch, the urgency to get behind the wheel drops even further. A 2021 study in the Journal of Transport and Health found that delayed licensing was most common among Black and Latino teens and those from single-parent households. So this is not just a cultural shift. It is a socio-economic one that hits hardest in communities that historically fed the motorcycle buyer pipeline. If you do not have a generation learning to drive, you definitely do not have a generation learning to ride. And that brings us to the elephant in the room, or more accurately, the 800-pound eagle, Harley-Davidson. No brand embodies the aging of American motorcycling more than the one from Milwaukee, and no brand's numbers tell the story more clearly. In 2006, Harley shipped over 340,000 bikes. By 2017, U.S. retail sales had fallen to about 148,000 units, according to their SEC filings. North American retail hit roughly 102,000 units in 2024, down 4% year over year, according to BizTimes Milwaukee. Then 2025 got even worse. Global retail to consumers dropped to 132,500 units, down 12%, with North American retail specifically down 13% per Harley's own fourth quarter earnings release. According to Axios reporting in February 2026, Harley's bike sales are now down 32% from 2021, the last year they actually grew. That is 4 consecutive years of retail decline, from 2022 through 2025. And Motorcycles data reported that Harley-Davidson dropped to 3rd place in U.S. brand rankings in 2025, falling behind both Honda and Kawasaki. Morningstar analyst Jamie Katz summed it up bluntly when she said there is little evidence that a recovery for motorcycle demand is in the cards anytime soon. The dealerships are feeling this harder than anyone. Several high-profile closures in recent years highlight just how much pressure the retail side of the industry is under. In 2024, the 110-year-old Dudley Perkins Harley-Davidson in San Francisco closed its doors. That shop had been selling Harleys since 1914. Think about that for a second. It survived 2 world wars, the Great Depression, the near death of Harley in the 1980s, and the entire internet era. But it could not survive the demographic math of the 2020s. New York City Harley-Davidson shut down after nearly 30 years in September 2024. Los Angeles Harley-Davidson in Fullerton closed in October 2024. High Country Harley-Davidson in Colorado and Wyoming closed after 25 years in July 2025. George Gatto, the chairman of the Harley-Davidson Dealer Council, told RevZilla's Common Tread something remarkably blunt for someone in his position. He said there are too many dealers for the number of new vehicles being sold today, that margins on new bikes are the worst they have ever seen, and that dealers are simply not making money. And it is not just Harley. Motos America, a premium dealer group operating 13 dealerships across California, Florida, and Oregon for BMW Motorrad, Triumph, Ducati, Royal Enfield, and Vespa, filed Chapter 11 bankruptcy on the last day of 2025, according to Powersports Business. This bankruptcy was a clear sign of how fragile retail has become. By 2025, total United States motorcycle sales had fallen to 507,311 units. That is roughly 46% of where the market was at its peak. The American motorcycle market had effectively shrunk to about half its peak size. If you stop the story right here, you would think motorcycling in America was finished. And honestly, a lot of headlines would have you believe exactly that. The forums are full of people arguing about whether motorcycling is dying. Every subreddit thread about the industry eventually turns into a eulogy. But the data has a plot twist, and it is a big one. According to MIC data cited by RevZilla in their analysis of 2025 motorcycle trends, sport bikes are up 71% over the past 5 years. The growth is almost entirely driven by young buyers on affordable machines. The MIC Ride report published through Power Sports Business in February 2026 confirmed that sport bikes gained 7 points of market share since 2019, with 3 of those points gained in 2025 alone. Sport bikes posted a 13% year-over-year increase in 2025. Think about that. The overall motorcycle market declined 8%, and sport bikes grew 13% in the same year. That is a massive divergence. And the critical detail that really tells the story, according to Buckner Nesheim, the MIC Director of Research, is that all of the category's growth came from models under 750 cubic centimeters. These are not middle-aged guys buying 200 horsepower liter bikes. These are younger riders picking up a Kawasaki Ninja 400 for about $5,800, a Yamaha YZF R3 for about $5,500, or a KTM RC 390 for around the same price. Accessible, affordable, and genuinely fun to ride. Kawasaki actually became the #1 selling motorcycle brand in the United States in 2025, posting a 12.7% increase in unit sales, largely fueled by its Ninja lineup. Adventure bikes are surging too, up 52% since 2019 per MIC data. Meanwhile, the traditional boomer-dominated segments are collapsing. Touring bikes fell 13% in 2025. Cruisers dropped 6%. The market is not just shrinking overall, it is rotating. The old categories are dying while the new ones are growing aggressively. And then there is CFMoto, the Chinese manufacturer that most Americans had barely heard of a few years ago. CFMoto posted a staggering 153.9% increase in US sales in 2025, according to Motorcycles data. They now have over 700 dealers in all 50 states. Their 450 SS sport bike costs $5,699 and comes with Brembo brakes, a slipper clutch, and traction control. Those are features that would have been premium only 5 years ago, on a bike that undercuts every established Japanese competitor at that displacement. When David Alonso won the 2024 Moto3 World Championship on a CFMoto, giving the brand the first constructor's title for a Chinese manufacturer in Grand Prix racing, it gave CFMoto something money cannot buy: racing credibility. If you are finding this video valuable so far, hit that subscribe button. We cover deep dives like this on motorcycle culture and industry trends every week. Now let us talk about who these new riders actually are, because the demographics are shifting in ways that go far beyond age. The Motorcycle Industry Council Director Andrea Yu pointed to data from 2018 showing that women now represent 19% of all US motorcycle owners. That is up from just 8% in 1998, 10% in 2003, and 14% in 2014. The growth rate is accelerating, not slowing down. Among millennial owners specifically, that number jumps to 26%. Women riders have a median age of 39 versus 48 for men, meaning they skew almost a full decade younger than the overall rider base. You said they could soon be looking at a solid 25% of motorcycle owners being female, and women riders are not casual about it. According to Motorcycle Industry Council data reported by Women Riders Now, 60% of women riders take formal safety courses compared to just 42% of men. 57% prefer buying new motorcycles. 34% ride cruisers, 33% ride scooters, and 10% ride sport bikes. The community infrastructure around women's riding has exploded. The Litas, founded in 2014, now have over 20,000 riders across 281 cities in 31 countries. No fees, no patches, and a fiercely inclusive ethos that has made them one of the fastest growing motorcycle organizations in the world. The Caramel Curves, the all-black, all-female motorcycle club founded in 2005 in New Orleans, went from a local crew riding through the 7th Ward to national visibility through features in Rihanna's Savage X Fenty campaign, O Magazine, and appearances on Ride with Norman Reedus. Black Girls Ride, founded by Portia Taylor, emphasizes that their members are affluent, evolving consumers who frequently purchase new motorcycles. Hispanic, Black, and Asian American riding communities are also expanding, and they skew younger than the traditional rider base, according to both RiderShare and CycleTrader. The Latin American Motorcycle Association, known as LAMA, founded in 1977 in Chicago, has grown to over 10,000 riding members across more than 220 chapters in 26 nations. CycleTrader reported in August 2025 that Latino, Black, and Asian American riders are forming tight-knit communities and clubs that blend motorcycle culture with unique regional traditions and styles. The overall owner base is still approximately 88% Caucasian, according to data derived from NHTSA. But the growth edges look completely different from the core. And in a shrinking market, where the growth is coming from matters more than where the volume currently sits. So the manufacturers are paying attention, and some of them are making genuinely bold moves. Honda might have made one of the most significant innovations for new rider accessibility in years with their e-clutch system. Introduced on the 2024 Honda CB650R and CBR650R, e-clutch is an electronically controlled automatic clutch. It is not a full automatic transmission. The rider still shifts gears manually with the foot pedal. But two small 32mm motors inside the engine cover read vehicle speed, throttle angle, RPM, shift pedal pressure, and gear position to automatically engage and disengage the clutch. What does that mean in practice? You cannot stall the bike. Period. One of the biggest things that intimidates new riders, the coordination of throttle and clutch lever and shift pedals simultaneously, just disappears. And the weight penalty is only 4.5 pounds, which is far lighter than Honda's dual-clutch transmission system. The clutch lever still works normally if you want to use it. Squeeze the lever and you override the system. Release it and e-clutch reactivates within a few seconds. RevZilla's reviewer said that if the e-clutch was a kit that could be added to any bike, they would put it on every motorcycle they own. Honda is expanding the system to the XL750 Transalp adventure bike for 2026 and to their entire 500cc platform, including the CB500 Hornet, CBR500R, and NX500 in Europe. This technology directly addresses one of the biggest barriers between a curious person and their first motorcycle ride. Then there is the Harley-Davidson Sprint, and this is not a rumor anymore. CEO Jochen Zeitz confirmed it during the second quarter 2025 earnings call on July 30th, 2025, targeting an MSRP under $6,000 with a 2026 launch date. To put that in perspective, Harley's cheapest current US model is the Nightster at about $13,499. The Sprint would cost less than half of the cheapest Harley you can buy today. That is a radical pivot for a brand that has built its entire identity around big, expensive American iron. Zeitz said the new bike embodies boldness, irreverence, and fun, capturing what he called the rebellious energy that defines the Harley-Davidson experience. A second entry-level cruiser on the same platform was also confirmed. Production will likely happen overseas through Harley's partnerships with Hero MotoCorp in India or QJ Motor in China. Now, the skeptics have every right to be skeptical. Harley tried this before with the Street 500 at $6,700 and the Street 750 alongside it. Both were discontinued by 2021 without making a meaningful dent. One analysis from Zamora Design called Harley's broader strategy, and I am paraphrasing here, essentially hospice care for a brand that has not solved its demographic problem. That is harsh. But the track record justifies the doubt. What is different this time is the competitive landscape. Other brands have already proven that young American buyers will spend money on affordable motorcycles when the product is right. Triumph's Speed 400, built in partnership with India's Bajaj Auto, starts at just $5,195. It is a 398cc liquid-cooled single, making 39.5 horsepower. It won Motorcycle.com's 2024 Best Value Motorcycle Award. The Scrambler 400X adds off-road geometry for $5,795. The newest Scrambler 400XC arrived in September 2025 for $6,695 with spoked XL aluminum rims and engine crash bars. Industry observers have specifically noted that Harley is looking at Triumph's success with the Speed 400 as motivation for the Sprint. Royal Enfield is executing what they call a premium affordable strategy. Their lineup starts at just $4,099 for the Bullet 350. The standout is the all-new Himalayan 450, A complete ground-up redesign with a 452cc liquid-cooled engine, Showa USD suspension, and a TFT display with Google Maps navigation built in, all for $5,799. Royal Enfield sold over 1 million motorcycles globally in fiscal year 2025, up 10%, with exports growing nearly 30%. They are actively expanding their U.S. dealer network and advertising financing at $125 a month with zero down. Even the electric space, which has been mostly disappointing so far, has some signals worth watching. Livewire, Harley's electric spin-off, sold just 653 motorcycles globally in 2025 and posted a $75 million operating loss. That is rough by any measure, but Zero motorcycles saw a different trajectory, with the full-size lineup up 28% year-over-year and North American retail jumping 89%, helped by new affordable models like the XB, priced at $4,995. A BikeSure study found that 58% of riders under 25 expressed interest in owning an electric motorcycle, the highest of any age group. The desire is there among young riders. The price and range just have not caught up yet. YouTube and social media deserve a mention too, because they have become the primary cultural pipeline for motorcycle interest among younger generations. Channels like Fort9, Yami Noob, who started at 17 and now has over 1.6 million subscribers, and Revzilla, with 1.5 million subscribers, serve as the new entry points into the culture. Civic Science research found that potential millennial motorcycle buyers are 14% more in-market than average adults and disproportionately active on YouTube. There is a real paradox, though. YouTube simultaneously inspires interest through adventure content and how-to videos, while potentially scaring off risk-averse viewers with crash compilations and stunt footage. The algorithm giveth and the algorithm taketh away. Now, one thing worth noting is that this aging rider problem is not just an American phenomenon. It is happening across the entire developed world. In Japan, 60% of motorcycle riders are over 50, according to Piece of Japan. Domestic sales crashed from over 3 million units annually in the early 1980s to below 400,000 by the mid-2000 teens, and the registered motorcycle fleet fell from 11.69 million in 2014 to 10.3 million by 2023, according to Statista. In the UK, 48% of registered bikers were over 60, and only 10% were under 39, according to 2021 registration data. Northern Europe faces challenges comparable to North America and Japan, per CSM International's industry analysis. But here is the contrast that puts absolutely everything in perspective. India sold 20.5 million two-wheelers in 2024. That is an all-time global record for any single market, and it is roughly 40 times the entire US volume. Over 70% of Indian households rely on two-wheelers under 200 cubic centimeters for daily transportation. Not recreation, not weekend fun. Getting to work, getting kids to school, buying groceries, Southeast Asia adds another 15 million plus units annually across Indonesia, Vietnam, the Philippines, and Thailand. Globally, motorcycle demand hit 54.32 million units in 2024, with Asia, excluding Japan, accounting for nearly 72% of all sales. The fundamental divide is crystal clear. In developing markets, motorcycles solve a transportation problem for young people. In mature markets like the US, Japan, and Western Europe, they have become a leisure product for aging enthusiasts. And that is the core tension this industry has to resolve. Journalist Lance Oliver captured the mood perfectly in December 2023 when he wrote that both the statistics and his personal observations tell him that US motorcyclists are not going extinct imminently, but they are getting old. Enough, he said, that it is fair to call riders a slowly dying breed. He added something that really stuck with me. He said when he rides around his college town, almost none of the students ever look at his bike. But when he was in college, motorcycles got a lot of admiring glances from his friends. CSM International, an industry research firm, framed it in even starker terms in their October 2025 analysis. They described the situation as an unprecedented demographic transformation that threatens the fundamental business model of the motorcycle industry. RBC Capital Markets posed the core Wall Street uncertainty when they said it remains unclear whether Gen X or even future generations are as predisposed to motorcycles as baby boomers. But those assessments, as sharp and honest as they are, only capture half the picture. The 71% surge in sport bike sales driven by young buyers on sub-750cc machines is not a footnote, it is a signal. The 19% female ownership rate, tracking toward 25%, is not a novelty, it is a structural shift. The fact that Kawasaki outsold Harley-Davidson in America, that a Chinese manufacturer posted 154% growth, that Triumph is selling $5,000 motorcycles faster than they can ship them, these are not exceptions to the decline. They are the outline of what comes next. The new American motorcycle rider does not look like the old American motorcycle rider. They are younger, more diverse, more likely to be female, and they are buying 400cc sport bikes and lightweight adventure motorcycles instead of $30,000 touring rigs. They discovered riding through YouTube instead of through their dad's garage. They want affordable fun, not a lifestyle brand with a payment plan the size of a mortgage. Whether this transformation can happen fast enough is the real question. The baby boomers who built this industry are aging out. Many will stop riding within the next decade due to health, mobility, and simple math. The replacement generation is smaller, started driving later, carries more student debt, and has a completely different relationship with transportation and risk. But here is what I keep coming back to. If you had told anyone in 2010 that Kawasaki would outsell Harley-Davidson in America, they would have laughed you out of the room. If you had said a Chinese motorcycle company would post 154% growth in the US market, nobody would have believed it. If you had predicted that nearly 1 in 5 motorcycle owners would be women, or that the most exciting innovation in motorcycles would come from Honda building a system that eliminates the clutch lever, a lot of people would have said you were out of your mind. All of those things happened. So here is where I land on this. American motorcycling is not dying, but the version of it that many people grew up with, the Harley-heavy, boomer-dominated, chrome and leather culture that peaked in 2006, that version is absolutely fading. What is replacing it is something different, younger, more inclusive, more global, and built around affordable machines that lower every barrier to entry. From Honda's e-clutch to Royal Enfield's $4,000 price tags to CFMoto, proving that a Chinese sport bike with Brembo brakes can compete on American showroom floors. Will the US motorcycle market ever get back to 1.1 million units a year? Probably not. But the idea that motorcycling itself will disappear from American culture when 54 million motorcycles are being sold globally every year and entire generations of riders in Mumbai and Jakarta and Ho Chi Minh City are growing up on 2 wheels. That is not happening. The motorcycle is not dying. It is just finding new riders. And those new riders might be exactly what this industry needed. If this breakdown changed the way you think about where motorcycling is headed, subscribe to the channel. We go deep on stories like this every week, breaking down the data and the trends that the headlines miss. I'll see you in the next one.